اوكي هلا كيف بحل الامتحان listening؟ اول ما تفتح معي الشاشه مباشره بروح اول شيء. دائما السؤال الاول راح يكون عندي completion، ما بستنى الريكوردينج بس يبلش، او لما يكون يبلش بحكي instructions ما بستنى يحكي لي turn to part 1 مباشره ببلش اعمل highlighting. بعمل highlighting للword limit one word and or a number. بطلع على الاسئله تقريبا لنص البارت، اتوقع لغايه سؤال 5. where to go kite place near this something، كلمه واحده. fish market، بروح على الفيش ماركت. cross the something and turn right. best go before what PM، معناته هذا في وقت ساعة. cold organic shop cold بدي اسمه، على الأغلب راح اسمه يهجي. look for the large what in outside. اوكي بدي large something هي اللي بتخليني أعرف الجواب.
This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions and you will have a chance to check your work.
Okay.
All the recordings will be played once only.
Okay.
The test is in 4 parts.
Okay.
At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet.
طبعا هذا في البيبر بيس، في الكمبيوترايز بس دقيقتين.
Now turn to part 1.
يلا هاي part 1.
Part 1. You will hear 2 neighbours who live in an apartment block talking about shopping for food.
يلا local food shops.
First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6.
1 to 6. طيب بطلع على city supermarket. take a something mini bus. اوكي فبدي عندي mini bus a mini bus. اوكي number 289 للسوبر ماركت. اوكي take a something mini bus. اوكي بدي اطلع على الاسئله من واحد استغني. والله صغير شوي الشاشه. اوكي يلا طبعا برجع بقراهم مره مرتين ثلاث. near something the something kite place near the something cross the sun something.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
يلا.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
How are you settling into your new flat?
Really well, thanks.
You look like you're going shopping.
Yes, I am. My cousins are coming to stay for a couple of days and I have to cook for them.
Well, there are plenty of places to buy food in Kite Place. It's the area by the harbour.
Oh,
Harbour.
okay. I'll
Okay.
find that on the map.
Yes.
Thanks.
What
Okay.
sort of food?
الحكى by the harbor معناته near the harbor. لما سمع حكى kite place ركزت أنا معه. حكى by the harbor يعني near the harbor. أوكي يلا هلا مركز أنا fish market.
Food do you need to get?
Well, neither of them eats meat, but they both like fish.
Well, there's a really good fish market there.
Cross.
Great.
Cross the what?
Where is it exactly?
It's at the far end of Kite Place.
Okay.
So you have to go over the bridge.
Bridge.
And then it's on the right.
Okay. Cross the bridge. Over
Okay.
the bridge. Cross the
Is
bridge.
it open all day?
Yeah.
It doesn't close until 4.
But
But I'd recommend going earlier than that.
Before
it
what?
does run out of some things.
Oh, I don't want that to happen.
okay.
As long as you get there by 3:30, you should be fine.
3:30.
It's only 11 now, so plenty of time.
Right?
Okay.
Do you need to buy vegetables too?
I do, and I want to avoid all the plastic packaging in the supermarket.
Well, there's a really nice organic shop there.
Okay. بدي اسمه.
Now, what's it called? It's the name of a flower. I know, it's Rose.
Oh, that's
Rose,
a nice
خلص.
name.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sells vegetables and quite a lot of other stuff.
And where's that?
Well, as you reach the market, you'll see a big grey building on your left.
هيها.
I think it used to be a warehouse. Anyway, now it's a restaurant upstairs, but the ground floor has 2 shops either side of the entrance.
بدي
and
large.
It's the one on the left.
That's easy enough.
You can't miss it. There's also a big sign
Sign.
on the pavement, so you can look for that.
Fine.
Big. Yeah. Big
I
يعني
guess
large.
if I need anything else, I'll have to go to the supermarket.
Yeah, you should be able to get everything you need. But there's a minibus that goes to the supermarket
Okay.
if you need it.
Which minibus?
It's purple. And
Purple.
the number is 289.
Thanks. That's great.
Okay. نكمل. Okay.
Before you hear
shopping.
the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10.
Fish market, dozen prawns, a handful of something. الكلمة اللي راح يحكيها تايب والسويد تطلع شو ما تطلع. اوكي شو كمان عندي الاورجانيك shops beans and is something for a dessert spices and something else bakery a brown loaf and a some kind of tart يلا نشوف شو راح يطلع
Now
الجواب.
listen and
يلا
answer questions 7 to 10.
يلا نبلش بسبعة.
So, what do you need to get at the fish market? The salmon is always very good. And the shellfish?
I'm going to make a curry, I think. And I need about 12 prawns for that.
Okay.
They'll have plenty of those.
Okay.
And a handful
Have
of...
you ever tried samphire?
No? What's that?
It's a type of seaweed.
Samphire?
I just ask for a handful, and you fry it in butter. It's delicious.
Oh, I might try that.
ما بعرف شو
How do you
كده.
spell it?
It's S-A-M-P-H-I-R-E.
Great. It's always good to try something different.
Yeah.
I'll see what beans they have in the organic shop.
Okay.
And I think I'll get something for dessert there.
what?
How about a mango?
I'm not sure. They're not always ripe. I'd prefer a melon. It's bigger
Melon.
too.
Good idea. The owner also sells a lot of spices there that you can put in a curry, and things like coconut.
Oh, that's very helpful. I'll have a
Coconut.
look.
No problem.
Okay.
I know bread doesn't really go with curry, but I always like to have some in case.
As I said, all the bread is homemade, and there's lots of variety. I like the brown bread myself.
Okay.
Sounds good.
They sell other things there too.
What
Like
tart?
cakes?
Uh-huh.
I love chocolate cake.
Well, not that.
Which one?
But they have a whole range of tarts, and the best are the strawberry ones.
Perfect.
Strawberry.
Hopefully I won't even have to go to the supermarket.
اوكي مباشرة بعد ما جاوبت 10 بروح على
That is
12
the end of part
وببلش
1.
اعمل highlighting.
You now
Okay.
have 1 minute to check your answers to part 1.
Which two reasons does the speaker give for recommending alive and kicking? شو هذا ايش عبارة عن يمكن فيلم هذا او مسرحية او كتاب. It will appeal to both boys and girls. Okay, like it. The author is well known. Author well known. It has colorful illustrations في رسمات. Funny. It deals with important topic. Okay. Alive and kicking. Okay, what two pieces of advice does speaker give to parents about reading? Okay, encouraging children to write down new vocab. Okay, write down vocab. New vocab. شو كمان? Allow children to listen audiobooks. Get recommendations from librarians. Recommendations librarians. وشو كمان عندي? Give children a choice about what they read. Okay, the children a choice. هم الأولاد يختاروا. Only read aloud to children until they read independently. So we firstly read aloud, then read independently. بكون هلا بلش part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah.
You will hear the organizer of a children's book festival giving some information about it on a local radio program. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16.
16 يا ساتر. وين 16؟ ايه ليش انا هون؟ طلع انا علمت على هدول 17. Superheroes just okay. Involves painting and drawing. Will be led by prize-winning author. Is aimed at children with disability. Involves drama activities. Focuses on new relationships. Aimed at specific age group. Explore an unhappy feeling. Raises
Now
awareness
listen
particular
carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
The Children's Book Festival is coming up again soon,
Okay.
and here to tell us all about it is the festival's organiser, Jenny Morgan. So tell us what we can expect this year, Jenny.
Well, as usual, we've got 5 days of action-packed, exciting events for children, with writers coming from all over the country getting involved.
Okay.
Just to give you an idea of what's on offer in the workshops, first of all, there's a very special event called Superheroes.
Okay.
This is a chance for deaf children to share
Okay.
their reading.
Deaf children, ما disability. هاي. deaf children. Okay, مباشرة لقطها. Okay, deaf children disability. Okay.
Experiences with author Madeline Gordon, who is herself hearing impaired.
Okay.
Just Do It is a practical workshop led by the well-known illustrator Mark Keane.
Well known. في عندي well known illustrator. مش prize winning. هل حكوا prize winning؟ مش نفسه صح؟
He'll take participants on a magical journey to faraway lands with an opportunity for aspiring actors to do some role play.
Okay, drama activity. Doing some play معناته drama activity. في activity play يعني راح يمثلوا. ما فيش عندي painting drawing. ما فيش عندي مش حكي ليش winning. Okay, new relationship, specific groups, unhappy feelings, particular culture. ما في ولا إشي من هدول. فراح تكون هاي drama activities إنه هم راح يأدوا أدوار.
Count on Me is an inspiring and entertaining look at the issues of friendship for 13 to 14-year-olds.
Yeah, معناته هاي
It looks at
relationships.
some of the friendships described in popular books and asks participants to compare these with their own experiences.
معناته بتكلم عن relationships. لو طلعنا عليهم كم particular culture ما فيش إشي group winning, drawing, unhappy feeling ولا شيء.
Speak Up is part of a series of workshops on the subject of mental health.
Okay.
This is a creative writing workshop encouraging children to describe situations where young people experience loneliness.
Unhappy feeling.
A recent survey revealed that children can be lonely even when they're at home with their families.
Unhappy, yes.
Jump for Joy, as many of you will know, is the heartwarming best-selling story by Nina Karen about a young girl's trip to visit her relatives in India. It recently received the gold medal at the Waterford Awards.
Okay.
Nina will get children to celebrate the word joy by writing a poem.
Yes, prize winning.
Sticks and Stones is the beautifully illustrated picture book for young readers
Illustrated.
about a community who organise an African Caribbean festival to help local children learn about their Jamaican roots.
Okay,
This will be a musical event where children will have the chance to play steel drums.
yes.
This is bound to be very popular, so please book as soon as possible.
يا بتكلم عن ثقافة معينة اللي هي الجامايكينج. اوكي، ما حكاش، يا حكى الكتاب يحتوي على رسمات بس ما حكاش انه انتوا رح ترسموا. اوكي، عشان هيك ما راح اختار هاي، راح اختار لي particular culture. اوكي، هدول انا علمت عليهم فراح اضلني مكمل.
Before you hear the rest of the program, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20.
Two reasons speak giver. Okay, boys and girls. Author is well known. Colorful illustration. Funny. Important topic. Okay, هذا الثانية. Reading.
Now listen
Okay.
and
Audio
answer
books, libraries,
questions
great
17
choice.
to 20.
Loud. Okay, يلا.
Thanks, Jenny. That all sounds really interesting.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if you have a favourite book you could recommend for our readers?
Live and
It's
Kicking.
hard to choose, but Alive and Kicking is
Okay.
definitely worth mentioning.
Why?
You won't have heard of the writer as it's her first book, which is really impressive.
راح استبعد
It's
الثاني.
basically the teenage diary of a boy from Somalia who comes to live in the UK. It deals with the serious issue of immigration and all the challenges the
topics.
boy has to face at school and with
Okay.
the language barrier, etc.
Okay.
Usually, books like this are quite sad, but this one actually made me cry with laughter.
Funny.
On each page, there are simple but hilarious black and white stick drawings of the boy with his friends and teachers. At the end of each diary entry, there are new English words the boy learns each day,
Okay.
which may help develop some children's vocabulary.
I think my kids would enjoy that. What about any advice for parents on how to encourage their children to read more?
Okay.
Well, this is something I get asked about a lot. There are so many distractions for kids these days that it can be hard to find time for reading.
So,
One thing I'd say
Yes.
is to make time to sit down with your child and share books with them. A lot of parents give up reading aloud to their children as soon as they learn to read independently, but this is a mistake.
no, I
It's
mistake.
good
راح
to read
استبعدها.
more advanced books to them as it helps to develop their vocabulary. If you
Okay.
don't have time for this, then let them listen to audiobooks.
Audiobooks.
Often they'll want to read books they've listened to for themselves. I think it's a good idea to make a mental note of the type of books your child is reading. Often they just read the same genre all the time, which can get a bit boring. You can introduce new authors and genres to them. Librarians should be able to help you with this.
Yes,
Well,
librarian
Jenny, I think that's really
should help you. Here, recommendation from librarian. Okay, بروح
That
على
is the end of
مباشرة
part 2.
بروح على part 3.
You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 2.
How does Claire, بدي Claire مش الثاني الطالب الثاني جاك أو جيك اسمه, about the students in her year 12 science class? How does Claire feel? Worried that they are not making progress معناته? Challenged by their poor behavior, they have poor behavior. Frustrated their lack of interest. Okay. How does Jake react to Claire's suggestion about an experiment based on children's diet? بدي شو علق Jack. He is concerned that the results might not be meaningful. The results not meaningful. He feels some of the data might be data difficult to obtain. He suspects that the conclusion might be upsetting. Conclusions. النقطة الأخيرة بتتكلم عن conclusions. What problems do they agree may be involved in the experiment involving animals? Did the problem agree? Okay, هيك على الأغلب راح يقول لي هلا بلش البارت 3.
Part 3.
Okay, any result may not apply to humans. Not apply to humans.
Talking about her practical
Maybe complicated.
teaching work to another trainee called Jake.
Complicated with
First,
permission.
you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Students not happy. Students not happy about the experiment. What question do they decide the experiment should address? Okay, what question? Are mice capable of controlling their feed intake? Are mice capable of feed? Does the increase in sugar lead to health problems? How much do supplements of different kinds affect health? Claire might also consider doing another experiment involving other types of food supplement, different genetic strain of mice, varying amounts of exercise. يا مش سهل بصراحة. وخمسة معطيني كثير خمسة
Now
بصراحة.
listen carefully
يلا نمشي
and
فيهم واحدة
answer
واحدة.
questions 21 to 25.
How does Claire about students? Worried
Hi,
not
Jake.
making progress,
How are
behavior,
you getting
lack of
on with the
interest.
practical teaching?
It's harder than I expected, but
Okay.
I've got some great classes.
لاحظ أنا مركز مع كلير مش مركز مع جيك.
How about you?
Not brilliant.
Huh?
I'm really struggling with my year 12 science class.
What's the
Are they
problem?
hard to control?
Well, I don't have discipline problems as such.
I don't have discipline problem. راح استبعد B اللي هي poor behavior.
It's just that they don't seem to think that science has anything to do with their lives.
Okay, they think science has nothing to do with their lives. Science مش مهمة في حياتنا. Lack of interest. Okay. هلا.
It's depressing. They listen to what I say, and I gave them a test last week, and the results weren't too bad. But there's no real engagement.
ما فيش
Right.
lack of interest.
And as part of my teaching practice, I have to design an experiment for them to do.
اللي هي children's
I
diet.
was wondering about something on the children's diets.
Okay, Jake شو علق؟
asking them to record what they eat and maybe linking it to their state of health.
Let's think. So your methodology would involve the children recording what they eat, okay, but you'd also need to have access to the children's medical records, and I don't think people would be happy about that.
Yeah,
Confidentiality would be an issue.
Okay,
If you
السرية.
could get the
السرية صعبة. It's difficult to obtain some information, their medical record.
right data, the conclusions might be significant.
Might be
but
significant.
I suspect it's not going to be easy.
Right.
Have you thought about doing an experiment using animals?
Wouldn't
Okay.
that be upsetting for the children?
Well, the animals don't have to be harmed in any way.
Okay, مش C.
It could just be an experiment where they're given a certain diet and the effects are observed.
Okay.
Would I have to get permission to use animals?
Yes, you'd have to submit an outline of the experiment and fill in a form, but it's quite straightforward.
Straightforward,
But
سهل
if we
يعني.
found out that, say, a particular diet affects the health of animals, the same thing wouldn't necessarily be true for people, would it?
No, that's true.
That's true يعني هاي
But the
النقطة.
findings for any experiment are going to be limited. It's inevitable.
I suppose so.
Okay, what question do you decide experiment should address?
So, what animals could I use to investigate the effects of
Mice.
diet? Mice?
Yes, you'd need experimental mice, ones that have been specially bred for experiments. Okay, so what will your experiment be investigating exactly?
Yes.
Well, something to do with nutrition.
Okay.
So maybe we could look at food supplements, things like extra iron and extra protein, and their impact on health.
Okay. How
That
much?
might be rather broad.
برود لا ما تعطي
Maybe
شيء
just
تاني.
look at the effects of one supplement, like sugar,
Sugar?
on the health of the mice.
In fact, maybe the focus could be on whether mice can control their own diet.
So what happens when they have access to more sugar that they don't really need?
Exactly. Do they
ممتاز.
eat it, or
الأولى.
do they decide to leave it?
اختاروا
Great.
الأولى. Okay.
Then later on, you could do a follow-up experiment adding another variable. Like, you could give some of the mice the chance to be more active, running on a wheel or something, and the others just sit around and don't do much.
Or I could repeat the experiment but change the type of food I provided.
هاي. إيه.
Or use mice with a different genetic structure. But I think your idea would be more interesting.
اللي هي
I might think
الاكسرسايزنج.
about that some more.
اوكي هو اقترح الاكسرسايز.
Before you hear the rest
هي
of the
اقترحت
discussion,
السبلمنت
you have some time
بالجينيتك
to
تريتس.
look at questions 26 to 30.
فضلينا عليه هو اقترحه. اوكي راح يكون عندي 25. راح اختار لها السي. اوكي نشوف عندي هون. Label the flow chart. Choose the correct answer from here. Size, escape, age, water, serial, calculations, change color. Choose mice which are all the same. The same يعني على الأغلب size أو age أو color. Divide the mice into two groups, each with different على
Now
الأغلب
listen
color.
and answer questions
each
26 to 30.
Put each of commercial moves, feed.
So, can I talk
Okay.
through a possible procedure for the experiment where mice are given a sugar supplement?
Okay.
Sure, I did a similar experiment in college, actually.
Great. So, how many mice would I need?
I'd say about 12, and all young ones, not a mixture of old and young.
Age, young.
Okay. And I'd need two groups of equal sizes, so 6 in each group. And how would I tell them apart?
Color.
I suppose I could put some sort of tag on one group or just mark them in some way.
You could use food colouring, that wouldn't
Colour.
hurt them.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Then each group would go into a separate cage, and one group, let's call them Group A, would be the control group. So they'd just have ordinary mouse food. I suppose you can buy that?
Yes, it comes in dry pellets.
And the other group would have the same as the first group,
But
but
sugar.
they'd also have the extra sugar.
In.
Would you just give them straight sugar?
It might be better to give them something like cereal with
Cereal.
it.
Then you'd need to weigh the mice, I should think, once a week. And you'd need an electronic balance.
But
Okay.
we can't hold them on the balance or it'd affect the reading.
Exactly. So you need something called a weighing chamber to stop the mice from running away.
Escape.
It sounds complicated, but actually you can just use a plastic box with holes in the top.
Okay.
Do all necessary
So once
calculations.
we've measured the weight gain of each mouse, we can work out the average for each group, as well as the standard deviation, and then see where we go from there.
Deviation.
That sounds
changes.
cool. I think the students will enjoy it.
Yes. One thing you must remember...
Okay. Do all necessary changes.
That is the end of part 3.
No, I think
You now
calculations.
have
no.
30 seconds to check your answers to part 3.
مش متأكد منها هاي. اوكي هلا اللي راح اعمله بس ما do the changes مش شايفها مش راكبة هي حكى variations ف I think change do all necessary maybe measure the variation ما سمعتش ما انتبهتش عليها مليح فأتوقع كل مش شايفها راكبة التشينجز خلينا نروح على البارت 4 نشوف كيف بيجاوب بارت 4 ما ايش microplastics طيب fibers from somewhat during شو هاي where microplastic come from fiber from someone during washing اوكي النقاط اللي بعديها فيش vehicle tire waste from industry اوكي ما فيش عندي هون effects of microplastic they cause injuries to the what of wildlife and affect their digestive system they enter the food chain in bottled and tap water إشي تاني and seafood they may not affect human health but they are already banned in skin cleaning products and something else in some countries. Microplastic enter the soil through the air, rain and something else. ممكن water هون تكون air. لا rain هي water. ما مش عارف. Microplastic in the soil, study by Angelica Ruskin University. Earthworms are important because they add something to the soil. بدي اشوف شو هدول earthworms بيضيفوا. هلا بكون على الاغلب البارت 4 اشتغل عندي.
Part 4.
The study aimed to
You
find
will
whether
hear part of an
microplastics and earthworms
environmental
affect
science lecture about
thoughts
microplastics.
of plants.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Some kind of list. Okay, if you are seed to germinate, arise in the level of something in the soil. يلا. Okay, نبلش من 31. Okay, microplastics fibers from some ايش from clothes ممكن during washing. ما دام during washing معناته يمكن some clothes. خلينا نسمع نشوف هلا بس يشتغل. طبعا one word only اكيد. يعني اوكي انتبهوا عليها طبعا هاي one word.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
يلا.
In today's lecture, I'm going to be talking about microplastics.
ماشي.
Microplastics are tiny pieces of plastic smaller than 5 millimeters in size.
Okay.
Recently, there's been a greater awareness that there are large quantities of plastic waste, big and small, in the environment.
Okay.
The amount of plastic waste in the oceans has received widespread attention, but far less is known about the effects of microplastics in fresh water and particularly in soil.
طيب.
Microplastics can enter the environment via a number of different sources.
يلا هلا.
Threads and microfibers detach from synthetic clothing every time they're put in a washing machine, and these find their way into the water system. Other sources include big pieces of plastic waste that are already in the environment, and these break down into microscopic particles over a period of time. On a larger scale, factory waste is another route, as are tyres, which wear down as cars, lorries and so on travel along road surfaces. We already understand some of the impacts of microplastics from studies involving fish and other animals. There is evidence that microplastics harm small creatures in a variety of ways.
Yeah, like what?
Such as by damaging their mouths. Or by impairing their ability to feed. For example, when microplastics get lodged in their digestive system. Surprisingly, perhaps, it is likely that humans consume microplastics, as these have been detected in a wide range of food and drink products, including bottled water, as well as in water that comes direct from the tap.
And
what's more, salt and many kinds of seafood have also been found to contain microplastics.
Okay, they may not affect human health.
However, it's important to underline that there is not yet conclusive proof that microplastics cause significant harm to people. In many countries, including here in the UK, there is legislation which prevents manufacturers from adding plastic microbeads to shower gels, facial cleansers, and toothpaste. It is very difficult to accurately estimate the total amount of microplastic particles in the soil, as they can be hard to detect. But we do know they are carried in the air and deposited in the soil by rain.
And
what's more, many of the fertilizers used by both farmers and gardeners contain microplastics.
Fertilizers. Okay. مش سهلة هاي.
A team from the Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge has carried out a study of the effects of microplastics on the digestive tracts of earthworms.
Are important because
these worms, which live in topsoil, are an essential component of our agricultural system.
Because they add what?
By feeding on soil, they mix nutrients into it. thereby
nutrients.
making it more fertile.
Nutrients.
The researchers set out to discover whether the introduction of microplastics into the soil and the subsequent ingestion of these by earthworms would impact soil quality and ultimately inhibit plant growth.
Growth.
The short answer was yes, it did.
Growth of plants.
After placing 3 different types of microplastic particles into the soil, they planted perennial ryegrass. The particles of microplastic, which included biodegradable PLA and conventional high-density polyethylene, or HDPE, were then ingested by the earthworms in the soil. The result was that the worms lost weight rapidly. What's more, a lower percentage than normal of the ryegrass seeds germinated, and the researchers concluded that this was a direct result of the earthworms being unable to fulfill their normal role in making soil more fertile. The team also discovered that there was an increase in the amount of acid found in the soil, and this was attributed mainly to the microplastic particles from conventional HDPE plastic. The conclusions of the study make for very interesting reading. I've included the reference in the notes to give you at the end of this session. To summarize, the authors proposed the idea that we need to regard soil as we would regard any other process in nature.
Change to soil.
This means we should accept the implications of soil being dependent on decaying and dead matter constantly being passed through the bodies of earthworms. That is, when soil becomes impoverished by the presence of microplastics, not only ecosystems, but also the whole of society are negatively impacted.
Society. Whole of society. Yes, this is my answer.
That is the end of part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 4.
خلينا نشوف بالله كم إجابة صح لنا. 39. شو اللي وين الغلط كان؟ بارت 1 10 صح. 13 والله It's aimed at a specific age group. يمكن هاي ما انتبهناش عليها مزبوط، لأنه حكى عن الفريندشيب أو كذا، يمكن قصده عن التين ايجرز أو حكى عن الفريندشيبس. باقي الإجابات صح. اوكي بارت 4 كلها صح. Yes, thank you so much. يعطيكم ألف عافية.